Most people are buying the wrong condo or worse, in the wrong complex. This one mistake will cost you thousands of dollars in special levies, higher strata fees, and constant repair headaches. Today I'm going to walk you through a checklist of things you want to look for when you're buying your first condo. If you're a first-time home buyer, I know this process can feel overwhelming. You want a home that's move-in ready, safe, and feels like a home. But you're also afraid of making an expensive mistake. The truth is, the best condo isn't the prettiest one online. It's one that's built well, managed well, and in a great neighborhood that fits your lifestyle. Stick around till the very end because I'm going to share one practical tip with you where you can get the most information regarding a strata complex or neighborhood. Let's dive in. I remember I bought my first investment condo in 2017. It was a 2-bed, 2-bath condo. Looking back, for me, it was an investment condo. There wasn't much emotion attached to the bedrooms, layouts, and etc. But looking back now, when I help a lot of first-time home buyers each year, if I was to ever live in this unit, there were a few things that I would have done differently. That's why I made this video for you with a checklist of things to look for. Number 1, looking at space that feels livable. Right now, first-time home buyers that we're helping are looking at condos that feature living space anywhere between 900 square feet to 1,000, if not more. The things they are looking for are things like an open floor plan, a den, extra storage space in the laundry room or a lot of closets, a corner unit, a unit with large windows, balcony. You'll appreciate the extra living space in a den, whether it's your office space or potentially down the road, a play area for your kids. Future kids' grandparents will be happy hearing about this advice. The second thing is a layout that flows naturally. You want a unit that features an open layout where the layout of the rooms and the bathrooms actually makes sense. There was a recent study done on condo buyers, and the rooms that they found buyers are paying most attention to are the kitchen, living room, and primary bedroom. Right now, there are some condo complexes here in Abbotsford where there is a second bedroom, but these second bedrooms don't have a window. When the owners go to sell the condo, they're losing a lot of money, or they're not getting money comparable units in other complexes are getting. Number 3, 2 parking stalls and a storage locker are a must. I remember a couple of years ago, I was helping my first-time home buyers buy a condo here in Abbotsford. It was a brand new build, almost near completion. And once we did a walkthrough of the condo, the developer's agent was offering a second parking stall at a discounted price. I remember my clients asking me, Gary, do you think we should buy it? And my answer to them was yes, for the following 2 reasons. The first was there wasn't much street parking space in that area. And the second thing is they both had a vehicle. And I explained to them that, hey, if you do buy this unit and it only has 1 parking stall, you're going to have to find someone that's willing to rent a second parking stall. And the second thing is, if you ever decide to upgrade or resell, if you have a second parking stall, that adds more value to your unit. Long story short, they went with my advice. They bought the second parking stall, and when they upgraded from a condo to a townhome just last year, their unit sold for a higher price in comparison to other units in the building because it had the second parking stall. Number 4, you want a unit that's move-in ready, not tenanted. Right now, home sellers are trying to sell 1 or 2 bedroom units that are tenanted. But here's the thing, when I'm showing first-time home buyers, we usually have a hard time getting access to these units. And the second thing is these units don't show well. And the last thing is there's a lot of fear in the buyer's mind when looking at tenanted properties. They're afraid of what happens if the tenant refuses to move out if we decide to buy this unit. Not only that, we don't want to wait 3 to 4 months before we get keys to our new home. A better alternative is looking at units that are owner occupied and don't require much work or renovations to it. Number 5, a well-run strata. This is the most important thing to look for when buying your first condo. One of the things that you can do is working with a local realtor like myself here in Abbotsford that helps a lot of first-time home buyers or investors. Through our past work, we built a database of complexes that we're recommending clients to buy in and a list of complexes to avoid. The second best way to get information is through reading the strata documents, but you also want to understand these strata documents when you're reviewing the depreciation report, the financials, the monthly strata minutes, the AGM minute, the engineering report, looking at the strata plan, Form B, and the list goes on. Not only that, but when you're working with an experienced realtor like myself, we're actually going to help review those documents with you. It doesn't matter if you've sold a couple of units in that complex, but we're going to review those strata documents again, and you're getting a second set of eyes on those strata documents. More importantly, if you have any questions regarding the financials or something doesn't make sense, that's why you want to work with an experienced team like ours. Number 6, you want to buy in a complex that's pet friendly and has some amenities. One of the most important things you should be paying attention to is the pet restrictions, especially if you own a cat or dog. Some complexes don't allow for dogs, and if they do allow dogs, they might have restrictions on the weight, dog breed, and the list goes on. One of the most common complaints a strata council is dealing with day to day or on a weekly basis is related to pets. So if you have a dog that you love, make sure you read and review the bylaws for the pet restrictions. And the second thing is, you might want to buy in a building where there's a gym, or even newer condos have stations where you can work from home or office space. Number 7, the specific location of the unit that you're buying. You might want a unit that's corner facing, because corner units always have extra windows, so you get more windows and more natural light. Not only that, one of the things that you might want to consider is buying a top floor unit, because there's going to be no noise pollution. Here's what I mean. Imagine you own a unit on the first, second, or third floor. What happens if you have a family with toddlers, or worse, where these kids are out of control? I've seen that when talking to other condo owners here in Abbey, where they say, we love our unit, but we can't stand the people above us. They have kids that are running at all times of the day. And this happens, folks, more than you think. The other thing you want to consider is the location of the balcony. Is your balcony facing the main entrance of the complex, or is it facing the street? If you have a unit that faces the visitor parking or the second condo building, you're going to have less privacy. And the main reason for that is you're constantly going to have a lot of cars coming and going through the visitor parking up front, or you're going to have a lot of extra eyes on you from the other owners that face you in the same direction. A better alternative is having a unit that's street facing, or in some cases you might have units that are backed onto green space where you don't have any neighbors. Other things you want to avoid is buying units on a main road like Marshall Road here in Abbotsford, or other high traffic areas where there's constant noise, or even worse, there's commercial vehicles passing by you at all times of the day, or close to the highway. Another thing you want to consider is how many elevators are in this strata complex. My rule of thumbs when helping first-time home buyers is looking at units where they have at least 2 elevators. The problem is some complexes built in the early 90s or early 2000s only have 1 elevator. And what happens is when you're entering the unit through the parkade or the main lobby, you can be waiting for a long time. Or in a worst case scenario, what happens if the elevator is out of service? And number 8, the location of the complex itself. You worked hard to save money for a down payment, and you want to buy a condo that's in a safe neighborhood. And one of the things you want to know is there's not much property crime in this area, or a lot of homeless folks wandering around at all times of the day in your neighborhood. You want a complex that's well connected, quiet, and in a safe neighborhood, and that has a high walking score to parks, trails, restaurants, shopping, and the list goes on. Remember, buying a unit in a quiet, safe neighborhood protects your investment. And remember, in real estate, we always talk about location, and location is important. You can change the floors, the paints, the appliances, but if you buy a unit in a crappy location, you can't change that unless you go to sell. Remember, beginning of the video, I talked about sharing one practical tip where you could get the most information regarding a strata complex if this is the right unit for you. One of the things that you can do is talking to other owners that live in that strata complex. They're going to tell you all the reasons why you want to live here, or all the reasons why you want to avoid it. When you're buying a condo, there's a lot of things that you have to consider. The first thing is the location of the strata complex. Then the second thing is the location of the unit itself, the living space, and more importantly, how the strata complex is managed and what strata management company is in charge. That's why when you're working with a realtor like myself, we're going to not only guide you, but we're going to give you a lot of resources along the way so you can feel confident in the decision you're making. Do you still have questions about the home buying process as a first-time home buyer? That's why you need to download my free first-time home buyer's guide by clicking the first link in the description below so you can have all the information you need to make an informed decision. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below about things that are important or not important when buying a condo. I'm Gary Dhindsa, and I'll see you next week.